In the opening paragraph, he talks about, as you said, I'll just open with the first line. There are those in whose notion education would seem to consist in the production of a certain repose through the development of this and that faculty and the depression, if not eradication, of this and that other faculty. Again, that sort of limitation, narrow scope mindset that you described earlier. And he says, for repose is not the end of education. Its end is a noble unrest, an ever-renewed awakening from the dead, a ceaseless questioning of the past for the interpretation of the future, an urging on of the motions of life, which had better far be accelerated into fever than retarded into lethargy. Like, that's exactly what you're describing. And my first question is, the pursuit of facts to the exclusion of fancy, MacDonald's passionate plea for this cultivation, perhaps elevation of the imagination, begins with an open assault on the singular nature of those educators who insist on reductionism and classification as the primary, perhaps only path to knowledge and understanding. Your thoughts, sir, as a professor?
You are kind of baiting me on this because, I could now go off on student outcomes and all the quantification systems that we have.
Of course.
But that would probably be a little boring just because it's so predictable. But look, I have to say that, it is the daily task, really, to me, of the educator, but also of the parent and just anybody that's in a position to. This is all going to sound in a way a little cliche, but I think it's probably for a good reason that it's become that, is there's just nothing like getting someone to see what you see, not just understand your report about what you're seeing.
Yeah, that's a great thought.
And that's, we've had past conversations, but that theme, and MacDonald, through his fairy tales, through all the novels, through some of his essays and sermons, all that stuff, is a huge theme, is that what you can see has a lot to do with what's within you. C.S. Lewis, at the end of his book, Discarded Image, I think makes a very much similar point, although he makes it about the whole age. He talks about the psychology of the age might be the thing that determines what model, new image we can sort of conjure.
Right.
And he's saying this also even about science. There's a lot of resonance here with what MacDonald's already saying in 1867. But yeah, I would say as an educator, there's a sort of an old Platonic idea, right? That's already there in the Phaedo, where it's like, in a certain way, education is sort of just bringing to the surface what's already within you. It's another way to say, like, it's more about lighting you on fire, lighting your soul on fire, I guess I should say, than it is about downloading, even like our like information. Okay. And just as a little point, but it's like, we don't mean by that what that word originally meant.
Yes.
Right? We don't really mean like there is sort of material that is formed in a kind of intelligible beauty, with an intelligible beauty. And so it can be applied. Now we sort of reduce it to, zeros and ones.
Yeah. And
that's just not, we're just little factoids or something, right? And that's so which kind of illustrates his thing about poetry and prose, which I'm sure we'll get to, but the sort of like, even our most sort of prosaic expressions were once lively, like molten lava, kind of like metaphors in us, or imaginings, right? Products of imagination. So
Barfield-esque.
Yeah, absolutely. It's amazing. We got to say. He is a source. It's just an amazing source for all these guys. But so I would say, as an educator, it's really great. Where I'm working right now, I have a boss that's like very much, this is his whole approach as well. Far less interested in what's your lesson plan, or like tick the boxes, numbers and grade. This is a person who I think would probably do away with grades if he could, this sort of thing. But his thing is, he's got a really strong conviction, and it's one I resonate with, and resonates with this, is it's about bringing yourself into the classroom. And by self, we mean all of your curiosity, all of your wonder, all of your joy.
Yeah.
And that's the kind of stuff that's contagious. I mean, it's very much the case that most of what you say in terms of the exact information and what you write on the board or whatever, they will probably forget when they leave in about a few hours or minutes. But the one thing they don't forget, and again, this goes back to my own background as well with that teacher, the one thing I don't forget is the way it felt.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I kind of think some of what he's saying here with the fancy is like, this is the faculty or the aspect of your soul which is alive and sensitive to those moments of kind of beauty's weight drawing, sort of its gravity is pulling on you. Yeah. And that's if you've dulled that, if you've eradicated that or diminished or repressed it, depressed it, then that's a dire situation because it's very hard to get to. But if you're constantly enkindling that and sort of encouraging that, that's like where the real education kind of happens. And so as someone who's in the classroom, like that's what that makes me think, you know. But I have to say we live in a time just as he did. I mean, but still maybe even more so, where that is the way students are kind of formed into, like, that's their expectations when they come to the room is, like, what do I have to do to get the grade? Yeah. What are the main factoids of this reading? Just tell me kind of what to think, what to regurgitate. So I can kind of, like, you know, jump to the hoop. And that's the real struggle of being an educator now, is to say, can we develop the patience? Yeah. Can we cultivate the imagination in his sense? Just to kind of have a different way of seeing.
Yeah. Yeah. I was speaking to someone the other day, kind of describing, they were asking some questions about my own journey in life, and they were very earnest in their questions. And they asked a particular question where it was like, they feel a certain way and experience things a certain way, and wanted to know, almost as if I would confirm that as genuine because I've experienced it. And I just said, quite frankly, I'm far too playful to even have given this much thought. But I think that is the essence of what has been sort of squeezed out of the child as they go down this gauntlet of courses, because the playfulness begins to be just sapped away. And you think about, you know, you were just telling me before we started, your youngest is in pre-K, and the almost like giddiness and nervousness of a little kid before they start school, you know, at the very beginning, maybe all the way to second grade, maybe third if we're lucky. Yeah. And soon enough, like, it's just dread. Yes. To go into the box. And that really breaks my heart.